What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Monday. Glad to have everybody along and welcome back. We are live for the first time in the month of July. So maybe you guys thought we were live last week, but no, Zach and I pre-recorded some shows, which I thought was funny. I'll kind of open the show with a little recap of what that was. But Sam, welcome back. We are here as we gear up towards Titans training camp. We're just about 2 weeks away from the Titans starting their training camp. And I don't know if this 2 weeks is going to go fast or going to go slow, but we'll get through it. And DeAndre Hopkins keeps giving us more things to talk about as we wrap the weekend with a DeAndre Hopkins update from a couple ESPN's reporters over the week and the weekend from the past several days. And so Sam and I are here to talk about it all, the Titans' aggressive pursuit for the free agent wide receiver, where it sits at, and where we're going to be headed here in the next several. And then we'll talk about what your big deal, small deal, no deal for this new report for DeAndre Hopkins. And then also how much money are you comfortable with the Titans paying D-Hop as we get deeper into the conversation. And also it's a Monday, which means an Ask Me Anything topic here live at the end of the show. And I just came up with mine right before we went live. I was like, I can't think of one. I was like, oh, I got it. And I think Sam will like this one. I have an idea. I know exactly what Sam's answer is going to be. So Monday, Ask Me Anything topic, wrapping up. Sam, welcome in. I hope you've had a good little break here as well.
Hey, it's good to be back. It's weird logging on this morning and getting ready to plan the show, feeling like we haven't done this. I've been, out of rhythm. I don't feel right if we don't have a show going on in the morning. So happy to be back. Happy to be talking Titans. And like you said, Austin, training camp is coming fast. Like it's weird to me that we're 2 weeks away from some Titans training camp, but I'm fired up for it. Like I need football back in my life right now, and having Titans camp will be a huge boost. But for today, if you guys are joining us as we are back in the saddle, make sure you share the show before we kick things off here. If you're watching on Facebook, hit that share button in the bottom right corner. If you're watching on YouTube, take that YouTube link and send it to a friend, send it to a group chat. Go ahead and post it to Facebook after you share the Facebook link, or tweet it or retweet us at A to Z Sports. However it is that you are watching and consuming the show, make sure you are sharing as well. That's the best way to grow the A to Z Sports family before we get things going here on a Monday.
Yep, let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is our Titans reporter at A2Zsports.com, Sam Phelan. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Link to the show segment by segment on our Twitter timeline at A2Z Sports, and also hit us up on for more Titans content on Instagram and on TikTok. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you guys, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by seeing them in Lebanon or wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. That means better coverage rates and service at fbhp.com/ATOZ. The Aura app, keeping you safe online, and get a 2-week free trial with our link, aura.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer, serving Middle Tennesseans now for over 18 years with great locations in Columbia, Franklin, and in Murfreesboro, online at KrebsKubota.com. So, Sam, it's been since June 30th when we reacted to Nicholas Petit-Frere's 6-game suspension for sports betting since we had been live. And so we did Zach and I did a couple pre-recorded shows that we played last week. We talked about the potential for Ben Jones maybe to make a return. We talked about an under-the-radar rookie who could be sneaking around. And then also talked about an underappreciated, an under-talked about Titan as well. And I did find it funny is that I saw several comments as I was monitoring that over the last week or so, saying, man, I can't believe they haven't talked about Hassan Haskins yet. They haven't mentioned Hassan Haskins. And yes, we recorded those shows before the Hassan Haskins news came out Friday afternoon, June 30th. So we've still got a lot to unpack from that situation. But Sam, DeAndre Hopkins news did not slow down while we've been away from our regular live shows, but welcome back to everybody. And so What did we learn about DeAndre Hopkins and that sweepstakes over the last several days?
Well, it feels like we keep taking these breaks with D Hop for about a week at a time. And about like once a week, we get this new refreshing update that kind of gives a little bit of insight into where things stand. Austin, I'll remind you that 2 weeks away from training camp, then sneaking up on us is probably sneaking up on DeAndre Hopkins and his camp as well, because he's, I would assume, going to have a team right around the time that training camp begins. He's going to have to make a decision here. And so we got this update from Mike Reese of ESPN earlier this weekend that says, and Mike Reese, of course, New England Patriots writer for ESPN. So he's writing a Patriots article, and packed within there, he provides a D-Hop update where he says, key points on where things stand with free agent wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins are as follows, according to a source. The Titans and Patriots have both made offers. The Titans have been more aggressive to this point, and Hopkins hasn't been in a rush to sign. One reason for Hopkins to wait a bit longer is to leave open the possibility of another team entering the mix, potentially increasing his market. So, I mean, we heard a few weeks ago about the potential possibility of Carolina or Cleveland or a third team really entering this race. And to this point, nothing has really happened on that front. Hopkins has not taken another visit that we know of. There hasn't been another formal offer that we know of. At least for now, it remains a two-horse race between the Titans and the Patriots. And as Mike Reese says, the Titans right now are the aggressive ones getting out in front, making D-Hop, a more bold offer.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think we've talked several times now because it's been over a month since DeAndre Hopkins took his visit to Nashville. That was in early June. He followed that up with his visit to New England. We've seen so many different reports and had so many different conversations about, who, if you were DeAndre Hopkins, who would you rather play for, the Titans or the Patriots? And I think most people that are not Patriots fans think the Titans are probably more attractive for DeAndre Hopkins just because of the opportunity, the situation, and I think the Titans' ability to make the playoffs if DeAndre Hopkins does land here, where the Patriots are still probably third or fourth at best in their division. So, I'm sitting here trying to weigh, like, what do I think about Mike Reese and his wording of more aggressive than the Patriots. I think the Tennessee Titans not getting DeAndre Hopkins, I think the Titans have more to lose than the Patriots do. Again, I don't follow the Patriots like obviously I follow the Titans, but from the Patriots people we have on staff, I don't think Patriots expectations are super high this season.
Well, they also, like, you look at the wide receiver room, like, I mean, they have Juju Smith-Schuster, they have Devontae Parker, they have Kendrick Bourne, like, they still, did they have Jacob? No, Jacoby Myers left.
Yeah, he left in free agency. They
replaced
swapped
him, right?
With Juju, yeah.
Swapped him with Juju, but I mean, they have three pretty established veteran receivers that are like, I wouldn't say it's the worst wide receiver room. Like they have some options offensively. So I do think what you said is correct. Like the Titans have more to lose here. The Titans without DeAndre Hopkins don't really have a lot of hope for their passing game this season. Realistically, like when you look at the Titans offense, adding DeAndre Hopkins does a complete 180 to how you have to view the Titans as an offense and really the outlook of their season heading into training camp. Without Hopkins in the mix, I think everybody's a little bit underwhelmed and continues to be underwhelmed. So they definitely have more to lose than New England. So from that perspective, it makes sense that Tennessee's more aggressive, that they're, being more proactive and trying to get something done because they know how important this is to their organization this year.
Yeah, and I think that's the message that I see with this too. And Buck Rising wrote an article at A2ZSports.com that you can go read, after the show or during the show in a different browser, however you want to do it. But, Buck kind of talked about the message of what this more aggressive than the Patriots sends. And I think it's the fact that the Tennessee Titans knew that they weren't going to spend big money on free agent wide receiver in the spring, right? They brought in Chris Moore, and that was it. They re-signed NWI for a very cheap 1-year deal, and that was it of veteran additions. Then they get to the draft, and you're like, well, they have to draft a receiver fairly high, right? They went Skronsky in round 1. We know the Levis deal in round 2. You're thinking, all right, third round's got to be a receiver. And Sam, we're sitting there with Jack on the draft show, like, they've got to take a receiver in the third round. Nope, Tajay Spears, round 3. And then they wait. No fourth round pick. Fifth round goes tight end. Sixth round goes offensive lineman. And seventh round, they take Colton Dowell. And you're like, oh my gosh. And so now they've made it through OTAs, mini camp. They've seen everybody. They've seen Burks. You like it. They've seen a little healthier, bigger Phillips. That looks good too. You like Chig. But outside of that, you're like, there's just a lot missing there. And so maybe that desperation, I don't want to call it desperation, I guess, but the need to field more aggressive is apparent because you've seen your entire offseason program play out to this point.
I will say too, I mean, there's a chance this was the plan all along. And I think that, should the Titans end up converting on Hopkins here, they get this deal done. That's something that I'll be really interested in diving into, because I'll remind you, when the Titans took Tajay Spears in the third round and Will Levis in the second round, and everybody raised an eyebrow at why they haven't gone wide receiver yet, the message from Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon at that press conference I was in was, look, we're going to address it. We're just going to address it in some different ways. And Mike Vrabel brought up the idea of players getting cut in the next few weeks that are going to become free agents and become available that can help us. So maybe they didn't have DeAndre Hopkins circled as quite this big of a fish, but I do think some credit will be due to the Titans brass if they're able to fix their wide receiver issues through second-term free agents with a player of DeAndre Hopkins' caliber, especially because I think getting him as a later free agent now saves you a lot of money than what you would have spent on him during regular free agency.
Well, via trade, right?
Right. I mean, the fact that Odell Beckham Jr. got $15 million, I keep coming back to this because it's the figure that kind of set the market for a player like D-Hop this offseason, but that figure is crazy to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of teams have their rosters built already. They have their cap accounted for already, and it takes them out of the running to go and get Hopkins. So I'm just like, this was potentially, and the Titans still have a ways to go to get to the finish line and make sure DeAndre Hopkins is in Music City this season. But if he is, this is a really, really nice job and a well-orchestrated plan by Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon and the Titans front office.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hold on to your butts type of plan, but if it works out, great. So all right. So I've got something, but I also want to get to our question that we have here for the audience, because we talked about the report from Mike Reese of ESPN saying the Titans have been more aggressive than the Patriots in their pursuit of DeAndre Hopkins. So we'll ask that question: is that a big deal, a small deal, or no deal? That the Titans have been more aggressive than the Patriots. Big deal, small deal, or no deal? That right there is the question that will get you guys more involved. I see a very active chat this morning already, even pre our first question to you guys. But before we get to your answers and our answers, let me tell you about Krebs Kubota. They are Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment provider, and Krebs Kubota can take care of you for any of your needs. And they've got 3 locations to do it. They're an elite Kubota dealer. That means they get perks for warranties and other equipment. They got the best equipment in the industry, but also the best people in the industry providing that equipment in Murfreesboro, Franklin, and in Columbia. KrebsKubota.com is their website. And whether it's big or small, they've got you covered for all of your projects and applications you have going around your property. And Krebs Kubota knows that you're going to need that relationship with your equipment provider, because things break, things go wrong. You're not as educated as others when it comes to dealing with your property and all the big maintenance and everything that goes on with it. So make sure that the guys and gals at Krebs Kubota help you out online at KrebsKubota.com.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. You can use the bonus code on your screen, ATOZ Sports, on the BetMGM app. and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Go on the app, find that bet that's, calling your name, make it your first bet, and use that bonus code ATOZ Sports. And even if the bet loses, you get your money back in the form of a bonus bet up to $1,000. That's the best way to do sports gambling when you can make every play and every game mean so much more. Do it with the king of sportsbooks, BetMGM, and BetMGM.com.
All right, Sam. So we're asking the audience this morning, big deal, small deal, or no deal, that the Titans have been more aggressive to this point than the Patriots. Again, this is from Mike Reese of ESPN.com, who covers the New England Patriots. We all know the Titans and Patriots have made offers. The Titans have been more aggressive at this point. Hopkins hasn't been in a rush to sign. One reason for Hopkins to wait a little bit longer is to leave open the possibility of another team entering the mix, potentially increasing his market. So, Sam, I'll send you to the chat. The question we're asking, the Titans being more aggressive than the Patriots for DeAndre Hopkins, is that a big deal, small deal, or no deal?
Big deal, small deal, or no deal? Seth says it's a big deal. Steven says it's a big deal. Eric says small deal. Myram says big deal. Eddie's big deal. Bun is big deal. Stephen King is no deal. Omar is a big deal. Valentino says small deal. Tighten Up is small deal. Michael is small deal. Scott is big deal. Jesse, big deal. Amar, big deal. Nick, small deal. Brian, big deal. Ken, big deal. Nate's Burner, small deal. Paul is a big deal. We've got a small deal from Titans Kyle. We've got a giant deal from Jody. Big deal. We've got a small deal from Billy. William and Jason both coming with big deal. Andre says it's no deal. Mr. Jones says it's the only deal. Cameron Strong says it is a big deal. Brad says it's a big deal. We've got a no deal from Satao, a big deal from Karen, a big deal from Kenneth, small from Darius. Kind of all over the place. A lot of people think this is a very big deal, Austin.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Big deal, small deal, or no deal on the Titans being aggressive, more aggressive than New England in their pursuit of Hopkins?
I think on the grand scale, on the big picture, I think it's a small deal because this is just being compared to the Patriots. The Titans have been more aggressive than the Patriots for DeAndre Hopkins. Now, that also does mean the Titans have been the most aggressive team in the NFL for DeAndre Hopkins. But in my opinion, I don't think it deserves a big deal because it's just them versus the Patriots. And DeAndre Hopkins has still kind of been sitting there and waiting for somebody else to come along. And even though the Titans have been very aggressive or more aggressive than New England, I still think it's a small deal overall. And I'm not trying to go put, this is a big deal that they're in. I like it. I'm glad that the Titans have been more aggressive than New England because that should put them in the driver's seat. But I say small deal as of right now. So I did see Nas saying small deal. You don't want to scare them off being too aggressive. There's that balance you're playing of, you don't want to seem desperate, right?
Desperate?
Yeah, you don't want to come on too strong. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Depends what you mean by aggressive. Is aggressive Mike Vrabel sending him texts? DeAndre, we submitted an offer. Please sign. Please sign. Have you thought about it all? Aggressive could just mean showing him some money. And money talks. There's no such thing as scaring a guy off with money in the National Football League. That, he sees an extra zero on there, he's going to sign the contract. So
for sure.
I think this is a big deal because a couple reasons. Number one is something I saw earlier in the comments, which is the early bird gets the worm. And it's what I talked about just a little bit ago, Austin, which is the fact that training camp is almost here. I mean, the Titans are 2 weeks out, less than 2 weeks out from having Mike Vrabel's introductory press conference to training camp at this point.
Right.
So if you're DeAndre Hopkins, you are going to have to start narrowing down what's important to you and making a decision. You've waited. You've dragged this out for longer than a month. You've hoped other teams would get involved. There might have even been some, rumors that got floated out there about teams that could potentially be interested or get in the mix that maybe they came from his camp just to drive up a little bit of a price. Who knows? But you've waited and you haven't gotten quite the level of interest you probably thought you would. Now, the chances of another team getting in and getting super aggressive and signing him in the next week or two, I think is pretty low, especially because D-Hop hasn't been on a visit to any other team yet.
Mm-hmm.
He sat down with the Titans. He's been to Nashville. He's checked out the facility. He's met Ryan Tannehill and hung out with Ryan Tannehill and other players. So I think this comes down to two horses. And right now, the Titans being the most aggressive team shows DeAndre Hopkins and everybody else that they're the most serious. And money talks. So that's reason number one, because a decision's going to have to come soon. And number two is the Titans have less money available in current cap space than the Patriots do. The Patriots have up near $15 million. The Titans have just above $8 million. So from a one-year deal perspective, if you're trying to fit it under your current cap constraints, the Patriots have the ability to price the Titans out of this thing. Now, the Titans could always get creative by adding a second year or future guarantees, restructuring contracts. There's a lot of things that they can do.
Void years, the new favorite tool.
Right. I mean, I felt like, though, money was an advantage that New England had over the Titans as these negotiations come out. If the Patriots aren't being very aggressive and the Titans are the ones that are viewed as the leader and their offer is viewed as more aggressive, that shows me that the Titans are willing to make this work and willing to move around some dollars here and there if they need to in order to bring Hopkins in. So I think this is a big deal. It shows how serious the Titans are. It shows that they're potentially the leader right now with just a few weeks to go until a decision probably needs to be made. And it shows that really the level of interest from teams outside of New England and Tennessee is limited. So those are all big, big positives to Hopkins being a Tennessee Titan in a few weeks.
Yeah. So I see, excuse me, Troy says the Chiefs are going to sneak in the back door and scoop him up. And I think that's what I feel like that's what DeAndre Hopkins is probably hoping for, but that's also something that could completely screw up the Titans' plan.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible. And I can hear the argument for it not being a big deal for that reason, because there's still legwork to do to get to the finish line. And you don't know if the guy that the Titans are running a race right now and they keep looking over their shoulder at the guy to their right, and they're not paying attention to anybody on their left. And for all they know, there could be a dude sprinting way faster than them getting ready to pass him right before the finish line. Or they could just keep checking this guy and cruise to a win. Mm-hmm. We'll have to see how quickly they can get to the finish line and if they really get this thing done. So I do hear that argument for it being a small deal because you don't know who else can come. But does it not feel like there would be like a sign of somebody? We are 2 weeks from training camp press conferences.
No, you're right. So Sam, I have like two comparisons that I feel about this. One that came up just now that we're with this conversation, and then one that we kind of danced around a little bit earlier in the show. So I've got two things I want to discuss what this DeAndre Hopkins situation reminds me of. But first, let me tell everybody about the Aura app. Aura is where you need to turn to keep you safe online. Sam and I have both done this, and we're reaping the benefits because Aura goes out there and they find data brokers who have your information. And then what they do is they automatically submit you out of those information requests. And so you get less junk emails, less spam calls to your phone, and less junk in your actual mailbox as well. And they also keep you safe from other situations online like credit identity theft monitoring, that if your credit card gets swiped by something, they will notify you, or if something else happens, they will send you notification to change your password with password leaks that happen all the time these days. And Aura does it all for you, and you just sit back and kind of react to what you need to. And it's easy to sign up. Sam and I did that. Zach did it too. And you get 2 free weeks when you use our link, aura.com/ATOZ. So all you got to do is type that into your browser, aura.com/ATOZ. That's aura.com/ATOZ for a 2-week free trial. They got rid of the data brokers of my life in like 6 days. So 2 weeks is a great opportunity to learn what Aura can do for you. So check it out one more time, aura.com/ATOZ.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Kind of a dead period in sports going on right now, but we have a fun event tonight. Some MLB All-Star Game, All-Star break action with the Home Run Derby tonight in Seattle. That's one to check out. If you want to bet on the Home Run Derby, make sure you're doing it with BetMGM and use the code ATOZ Sports as the bonus code to get up to $1,000 back in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet doesn't win. So find that guy you think's hitting the most nukes in Seattle. Maybe it's a third crown for Pete Alonso. Maybe you're taking my guy, Luis Robert Jr., whoever it is that you've got your eye on. Place the bet with the bonus code ATOZ Sports. And even if you lose, no worries. You get your money back up to $1,000. That's the way to do sports betting, especially this summer and this time of year, is when the risk is limited and you can get money back. So king of sportsbooks, BetMGM.com and the BetMGM app. Get with them today.
All right, Sam. So there's two things that this DeAndre Hopkins Titan situation does remind me of. And it really is. We talked about it earlier in the show, and it's about the Titans' plan of not going big in free agency, not doing anything really worth of significance in the draft and waiting till the 7th round to get a receiver in the draft and just hoping that you had something in the summer. And it's the exact same thing they did with Julio Jones 2 years ago. Like, it's just been 2 off seasons ago where the Titans did not bring in anybody worth anything in free agency. And their first wide receiver drafted in 2021's draft was Dez Fitzpatrick in the 4th round. And we didn't think he was much of anything. That was a confusing pick. And then they traded for Julio in June. And then everything was fine. Okay, that was the plan the whole time. John Robinson was just waiting to trade for Julio. And it feels the same way. It's okay, you bring in Chris Moore, you do Colton Dowell in the 7th round because you had an idea that DeAndre Hopkins was going to be available via trade or free agency like this in the summer. And now you're just pushing all your chips into that happening and that pulling through to where you had more control with the Julio thing because you were trading with the Falcons. This is just up to DeAndre Hopkins and it's open to anybody else. And that's a much riskier move than even what the Julio thing was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're all in on DeAndre Hopkins only because like there's going to be other guys like throughout camp, throughout the preseason, guys are going to be cut and become available. And some of them are going to be veterans of significance that just didn't really have a roster spot cut out. We see them every year. So, I mean, there are going to be other options, but Hopkins is certainly the home run option of anybody the Titans could have added in the second stage of the offseason. So, I mean, I see the comparison. I don't like using the comparison because I think Hopkins is just like he's a way better player at a way different stage in his career than Julio was, just from an injury perspective and a recent history of success perspective. So I don't like using the comparison, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's Titans fans out there that feel the same way. Here we go again. This is the same story I was told with Julio.
But this is the same. It's the same plan. It's a very similar plan.
And it's scary because of what you said. Like, yeah, you can't control your own destiny here. Like you need DeAndre to pick you. And so you do kind of have to put your chips all in on this particular player in this particular moment and hope he says, all right, I'm coming. And that solves all of your problems. If he doesn't, you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what you're going to do this preseason and throughout training camp and who you're going to sign in August to, give you some sort of competent passing offense and some competent wide receivers. So I don't know what plan B is.
Yeah, that's the thing is what's a legitimate plan B. So yeah, that's true. So the other thing that this reminds me of, this Titans DeAndre Hopkins situation, it reminds me of the old-fashioned your first offer in recruiting. This is, the Tennessee Titans were the first to offer DeAndre Hopkins that scholarship. Now, there's a current 4-star wide receiver recruit out of California who is committed to Colorado State. And I don't think Colorado State, the Rams playing out there in the Mountain West, don't get a lot of 4-star commitments. But they offered this kid, and it was his first offer, and they showed him a bunch of love early in the process, and he became a 4-star recruit, but he committed to his first offer. But lurking are other programs that maybe are getting to this guy late. And it doesn't matter who your first offer was. If you're in the Southeast and you're a recruit and your first offer is, I don't know, NC State, and you're sitting there like, oh, cool, Wolfpack, I can play in the ACC, like NC State, I get that. And then all of a sudden you start to blow up. And now Miami, Florida State, if Clemson comes knocking on that door, you're not staying at NC State. Like, that's just like, you're not going to go there. And so if the Tennessee Titans are the NC State, if the Tennessee Titans are the Colorado State, which they're not that low, they're also not as low as NC State either. But again, you get my point. If Clemson comes knocking, if Alabama and Georgia come knocking, if the Buffalo Bills, if the Kansas City Chiefs, and to an extent the Cleveland Browns because of Deshaun Watson, if they come knocking on DeAndre Hopkins' door, is he going to stay with his first offer?
Maybe. Well, there's one thing I don't think that accounts for, which is the NIL money. I think kids would stay at their first offer, if not for NIL. Like, I would stay at Colorado State. Kids would stay at Colorado State if you didn't have USC saying, hey, come get $800,000 in NIL money every year to come play for us. That's a hard offer to turn down. The thing with Kansas City and Buffalo is they don't have money. They don't have the money to offer DeAndre Hopkins. Like, they're even lower than the Titans on the totem pole. So how much are they going to shake up their roster construction to clear up money to make him an offer? Because he's not going to take $1 million just to go play in Kansas City. He's not going to take $1 million just to go play in Buffalo. Like, he's still going to want competitive money to the industry standard, which if the Titans and the Patriots are the only two teams that can afford it and are willing to give it to him, those are his options. So that's why I'm a little bearish on the idea of the Chiefs swooping in and getting him, because I don't see where the money comes from, especially with the clock ticking and the finish line approaching. Where do you find the money and the roster space for DeAndre Hopkins right now? I don't know if I see it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Now the Chiefs are talking to Chris Jones, and they can, extend Chris Jones's contract. That frees up a bunch of money this year to make something happen. There's also, the Mahomes or Tannehill. DeAndre Hopkins. This is a guess, but I feel pretty confident in it. DeAndre Hopkins would make more money off the field with the Chiefs, the Bills, compared to the Titans.
Yeah.
He would get more of that NIL money of just endorsement, commercials, just whatever it might be, exposure on a national level in KC or Buffalo compared to Nashville. Because we all know this, the Titans just don't move the needle, and that's fine. It just is what it is. And the two quarterbacks he'd be playing with in those other two cities move the needle themselves. Those cities aren't that big, but the quarterbacks are bigger and the fan bases are bigger. So, I think that's where, if like your whole thing, if the Titans are sitting there looking over their right shoulder and then the Chiefs or the Bills come flying over the left shoulder, there's really nothing the Titans can do about that. Colorado State can't compete with USC. NC State can't compete with an offer from Clemson. They don't win those battles.
Yeah.
And so can the Titans hang on, I guess?
Yeah, you can only offer what you can offer, right? You can't pretend to be something or someone you're not. If you do, people see right through that, right? You don't show up to a meeting with DeAndre Hopkins and say, look at our elite offense, look at our, top 5 quarterback, look at all of this, look at all the exposure you can get playing for the Titans, look at our big market. Those aren't realistic things that you offer DeAndre Hopkins. You stick to your guns. You say, we'll give you 140 targets. We'll give you a reliable guy throwing you the football, and Ryan Tannehill, who's accurate and a veteran and a great teammate. And, we'll give you every opportunity to make plays. We'll compete for the AFC South, and you'll have a lot of fun in Nashville. And that's your offer. And you hope it's enough. You hope it sticks. That's all you can do. I think it's important that, and a big deal to me, that we're this close to what I think should be a decision, because we'll get to what Jeremy Fowler said on SportsCenter here in a little bit, but Jeremy Fowler said last week that a decision could come in the next week or two from what he's hearing. So this could be pretty close. And as of right now, you're in the lead, and it appears like it might be enough. Like, Goliath hasn't shown up to the fight yet.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so let's get to that Jeremy Fowler report here in a second. But Sam, first, tell us all about the Bone and Joint Institute.
The Bone and Joint Institute, you can visit them at boneandjointtn.org. They're the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust, and you can trust the Bone and Joint Institute. They're located out in Franklin with over a dozen specialists who can help you through any type of injury. They have a state-of-the-art rehab facility to assist and help in your recovery as well. And everything is all under one roof for maximum convenience. You don't have to worry about driving all over Middle Tennessee, trying to go to this appointment, to that appointment, going point A to point B. It's all in the same spot, all under one roof. Your clinic, your testing, your imaging, rehab, surgery, you name it, it's there out in Franklin. To schedule an appointment, go visit our friends at boneandjointtn.org.
Also with BetMGM, Sam mentioned, it's All-Star Week for Major League Baseball, which means fun things to play with on the BetMGM app. And you can do it with our first bet offer bonus code ATOZ Sports. You sign up with BetMGM, use that code ATOZ Sports, and you get up to $1,000 back on your first bet if in bonus bets if you don't win that first bet. So that's with our bonus code ATOZ Sports for the first bet offer with BetMGM. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only, new customer offer. All promotions, subject to qualification, other requirements. Rewards issued as knowledgeable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for problem game with sport, call Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789. So Sam, talking about the update from Jeremy Fowler, we've discussed Mike Reese talking about the Titans being more aggressive than the New England Patriots for DeAndre Hopkins. Now, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN said earlier last week on SportsCenter, the Titans, I'm told, are pretty well positioned here. They're certainly motivated to do this from Coach Mike Vrabel on down. A lot is going to depend on what comes with the contract front. So we'll see who steps up there. So interesting, Sam. I'll let you kind of pick apart what you think about Jeremy Fowler's report stands out the most.
Yeah, I mean, this was, a snippet of what he had said on SportsCenter, and kind of mixed in here was what I had said earlier, which was, the fact that a decision could be coming within the next week or two. So it's all going to come down to who steps up financially right at the end of this race here. And so far, as we just heard, the Titans are the ones who have stepped up. They're the ones who are aggressive. We also heard from Jeremy Fowler that that same rumor that we just talked about. Yeah, while there have been rumors about other teams trying to potentially get into the mix, so far from what he's heard, it remains the Titans and the Patriots that have expressed interest to DeAndre Hopkins. So another positive update, another reason why, going this quote along with this report that the Titans are more aggressive is what has had me feeling good about the Titans' chances to land D-Hop. But it did have both of us wondering, Austin, if it's going to come down to money and it's going to come down to who is most aggressive in their contract offer, what is the limit for Titans fans? So, what is a fair number? So it's going to be very interesting to see what I said earlier, how the Titans play with their cap, how they incorporate void years. Do they add a second year to the deal? Where does this contract fall and what does it look like? Because it's really hard to gauge the market for DeAndre Hopkins right now.
Yeah, and Mike Giannetti of Spotrac said earlier in the summer that once you get beyond the draft and really beyond OTAs and minicamp, that the most guaranteed money given to a free agent over the last 6 off seasons at this point is $9 million.
Wow.
So like DeAndre Hopkins is very different than most free agents who are available at this time. Because, the Titans signed Jadeveon Clowney in August 3 years ago, right? But I think we understood that was a 1-year deal with less guaranteed money and more, upside money. So I think that's where the DeAndre Hopkins situation is more unique, is that this hasn't happened the last 5 or 6 years.
You just don't see many guys with the potential to be elite at such a, position of the importance of wide receiver. Like you have running backs out there on the market. Like somebody's going to sign Ezekiel Elliott in 3 weeks, probably, to a cheap contract, and he'll probably run the ball for him 120 times and it'll be whatever. Same thing with Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
But you don't see many guys at a premium position like wide receiver that are still free agents right now, and possibly one of the best 10 guys in the game still. Like DeAndre Hopkins still has the ability to, as he pointed out on Threads last week, to be a 1,400-yard wide receiver in the NFL. Like that's what he was on pace for last year. So it's a very, very unique situation, and it's what has had my brain kind of all over the place thinking about this, because my head says, well, he should get more than Odell Beckham Jr., certainly. But history says that's not going to happen at this stage in the offseason.
All right. So, Sam, the question I want to ask you first, because I'm gonna play with a tool here while we're doing this live. How much money are you comfortable with the Titans paying DeAndre Hopkins? Just on the high end. Like, what is that? The high end. How much money are you comfortable with the Titans paying DeAndre Hopkins? So if you could I've seen some numbers from the audience already get out there. I see 3 years, 38.
Let's call it AAV, right? Like, can we call it this year? Is that what we're going to do? Or are we going to do it?
That's up to your discretion.
Oh boy.
Now, you don't have to be super, specific with it, but I'm just kind of curious of how you feel about all this.
I would go up to this. This might be a really bad number. It shows the kind of GM I'd be. I'd give him up to $20 million a year.
A year?
I looked at a list of the top 10 highest paid wide receivers. DJ Moore, making $20.9 million for the Chicago Bears this season, is the 10th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. I think DeAndre Hopkins is a top 10 wide receiver still. So I don't give him a long-term deal. But if it was a 2-year, $35 million contract, 2-year, $36 million contract, I wouldn't bat an eye at that. Even if it was 1 year, $18 million, it's pricey, but I think you're paying for a top 10 wide receiver. So, that's probably more expensive than it would take, but you might have to, pay a little bit of a premium to make sure you lock him down. The Tennessee Titans tax of not having an elite quarterback or being like a perennial Super Bowl contender. So, do I think that's a realistic figure? No. But if you told me the Titans signed D-Hop to a 1 year, $18 million contract, I'd be very okay with it. I think that's worth the money.
All right. So I'm playing with money here. So,
oh goodness,
I've got the cap calculator, the contract constructor tool out here on this. So I'm going to send you to the chat, Sam, to see what people are saying is how much money would you be comfortable with the Titans and DeAndre Hopkins? So I'll let you go do that and read more of those comments. But first, go ahead and get to the chat while I continue.
You got to deal with your cap.
Yeah, I'm playing with all this. This is kind of fun. I wish I did this
live on the
show,
show. What a time to be playing with it.
Yeah, right.
Julio Jones said 2 years, $25 million. This is even before we asked the question. Jody had 3 years, $36 million as the number. 2 years, 25 with an out is what Rooney said. Bork says 3 years, $30 million, with $6 million of that being a signing bonus. Pedro had 3 years, $38 million. $15 million, nothing more from Wesley, 2 years, $30 million. So right in that $15 million range from Mr. Jones as well. $10 million for 1 year incentive based from Sheila. 2 years, $30 million from Wild Turkey. JR said 2 years, $40 million. He's right up there with me. $18 million a year from Amar. 2 years with a 3-year option, cost at least $35 million, says Jason. 2 years, 25, says Steven. 3 for 24 total, says Orlando. $20 million 2-year deal, 8 guaranteed this year plus incentive. I gotta say, Austin, I'm impressed by the chat. They're coming with incentive based. They're coming with multi-year, with make this a signing bonus, offset this to the next year. Then you do an incentive. Like, this is impressive for a pretty simple question right here. And yeah, I get a couple people like my like it, a couple people don't like it. So GMs, I feel your pain. I'm out here just trying to sign DeAndre Hopkins to a nice, handsome contract for the Titans. Fans don't want to hear it. Do you not want a great wide receiver? Yeah, Eric's out on the $20 million a year. So I think 10 to 15 is where the chat probably is. 10 to 15, I think, is probably a fair assessment on a 2 to. The thing that surprises me is I see a lot of 2 or 3 year deals. So yeah. How would you feel about like a multi-year contract? Is that a win?
I think so.
Even if it has guarantees in it and you're guaranteed to be paying D-Hop, I would like to see them get him on 2-year deal. I would love that. Because I think that not only provides the stability to the wide receiver room this year with Treylon Burks, it allows them to grow together as a kind of a duo. Mm-hmm. But assuming Ryan Tannehill is gone in 2024 and you're turning over the keys to Will Levis or Malik Willis, having that veteran wide receiver in that room, I think is a big win for a young quarterback who's trying to, get their bearings about them in the National Football League as a starter. So a multi-year deal, I think, would be, and this was actually my idea when the Titans first got involved with D-Hop, was just backload it. Like, if you're going to do 2 years, the way that you can avoid your cap constraints this year is by backloading a deal, because you have all that money available coming off the books for 2024. If you want to pay D-Hop $6 million in a signing bonus and a $1.1 million base salary this year that turns into a 15 guaranteed next season, that's fine with me too. Whatever it takes to get it done.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm kind of struggling with this is 2 years, 30 million is where I want to be.
I think that's a fair number. Like, yeah. So like, I should clarify, right? When I said 20 million a year, I would do it. It wouldn't be my first offer, right? That's not where I would start. But like, if you're going to pay him 15, I think the difference between having DeAndre Hopkins and not having DeAndre Hopkins is significant enough where if it was going to cost me the extra $5 million for a season, I think that money is well worth it. Because if you're going to pay him 15, that means that you're very serious, obviously, about winning this season and about, and you recognize how important he is to that process. At that point, what is the extra $5 million, if not just guaranteeing the fact that he'll be with you?
So what I did is I did a 2-year deal for $30 million in total.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did a $12 million signing bonus.
Split over 4 years.
2 years.
Oh, you're only going to do 2?
You could do it. You could void it more if you wanted to.
You could do, yeah.
I had just got started with this tool. I got to find the void year.
Well, you can, split. Well, you just do it with the bonus. You split the bonus through 4 years. I bet I've done exactly what you're doing before. You go on overthecap.com.
All right, so there we go. So I did it. Okay. So now this is pretty good then. So you've got 2 years, 30 million with 2 void years at the end. I've got a $2 million base salary fully guaranteed this season. So now that cap hit for 2023 is just $5 million. Then I've got next year a $16 million base but I have $10 million of it guaranteed. So
Yeah,
D-Hop is looking at what is he going to get? He is going to get $14 million in his pocket this year, right? With 12 signing bonus and 2 of a base salary guaranteed. So he's going to get 14 mil in his pocket, and he's guaranteed to get $10 million in his pocket next year, whether he's here or not. But the base for next year is 16 million.
Yeah, and I think you definitely do how much of it did you say guaranteed?
The whole deal?
Yeah.
24 out of the 30.
Yeah, I mean, I think that deal, I don't want to speak for D-Hop, but I think it makes a lot of sense, right? And I'd be comfortable with that number. I don't think that's like I said, Austin, DJ Moore, $20.9 million in Chicago, which I actually think is a kind of a team-friendly deal for what some of these wide receivers are getting in the upper 20s to $30 million per year range right now. He's the 10th highest paid wide receiver. If you've got D-Hop in the 15 to 20 range, that's not an overpay. It's not too much money. That's what he's worth. He's probably worth more, if we're being honest. If Odell Beckham Jr. is worth 15, I'll remind you, Odell Beckham Jr. got 15. D-Hop's probably worth over 20. So I don't think it's crazy to say I'd pay him 20. I don't think that valuation of a 2-year, $30 million contract is crazy. I think that makes a lot of sense for both parties. So
okay,
maybe we just signed DeAndre Hopkins. Who knows? If you're watching the show.
I mean, so you got 2 void years at the end.
Send it his way, and we'll bill you later.
I mean, $24 million in DeAndre Hopkins bank account in 2 years minimum, up to 30.
You've got Traylon Burks on the rookie contract, and you've got those two in your offense.
And the cap hit.
That's a duo that you Sharpie for next fall.
And the cap hit next year is just 19, which is not ridiculous.
Yeah. I know. I think so this is potentially, and this is what when we first talked about D-Hop to the Titans, this is what I felt like made more sense for them to be able to do it and afford it and give themselves some sustainability. Maybe it is the 2-year deal that gives them more options and allows them to compete financially a little bit more, because you can't offer them the 15 this year. So it's going to have to be in the form of a bonus that you have some void years for, and then you're going to have to pay him a bigger base next season. But if DeAndre's open to it, that makes all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah. All right. So
there you go. I think we just signed D-Hop.
You think we just did it?
Yeah. I'm saying these billable hours, you'll send.
What's your rate?
Well, you're the one that did it, so it's really up to you. What's the A to Z Sports rate? You'll send an invoice to Rand's office after the contract gets signed. So there you
go. I'll have to screenshot this or export to PDF or something. I'll make this contract where I can share it on social.
Nice. There you go.
All right. That's fun. All right. Ask me anything on this Monday. This is going to be an interesting one because we've got something brand new to our world. But first, let me tell you guys about Farm Bureau Health Plans. Farm Bureau Health Plans is where to turn for all of your health coverage to make sure that you can get what you need. Plan on Farm Bureau Health Plans for the health, dental, vision, all of it. Just 1 or 2 of those things, they've got you covered right there with 200 plus locations across the entire state. Also, at fbhp.com/ATOZ. That's how you get started as well. Zach saved 20% on his health coverage once he switched to Farm Bureau Health Plans, and they can do something similar to you. And it all starts with a very easy reach out to them for a quote, and they will make it easy on you to get what you need from your coverage, whether it's better coverage for a less rate. We just talked about our rates for Rand Carthon in signing contracts. Farm Bureau Health Plans, they got a good rate for you guys out there. So whatever your life situation is, Farm Bureau Health Plans has you covered. fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports to get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets. If your first bet doesn't win, You can get it back in the form of a bonus bet and make every game and every play mean that much more. With the king of sportsbooks, it's BetMGM. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. First online real money wager only. Rewards issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
All right, Sam. This Monday, Ask Me Anything.
I know where this is going already.
Yeah. Are you thumbs up or thumbs down on Threads?
Am I thumbs? I have a lot of thoughts on this.
Okay, so I will go for it. What? Just unload. I am ready for your thoughts because I was not as tuned into my phone the last several days as I normally am, but thumbs up or thumbs down on Threads that launched last Wednesday night / Thursday or so.
I was quick to the Threads game. But I am thumbs down on Threads. I don't know if that's where you thought I was going or not, but
okay.
Well, you said you thought you would know what my answer was.
So. I changed my Ask Me Anything from the beginning of the show. So
I'm thumbs down on Threads. I was thumbs up on it. I like the idea of it. I had fun for 2 days, and I got bored really quick. And I realized like last couple of days I haven't checked Threads. I've gone right back to Twitter, gone right back to refreshing my Twitter feed. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't like. There's this weird Threads thing that's going on where people are like trying to go viral, acting like they're not trying to go viral. Like everybody on Threads is posting like, so glad we don't have to like worry about the algorithm on here, guys. What a great sense of community we've got on here, guys. But every post is like some cool photo that says like, what's your favorite dream vacation spot? Or like, you can only eat 3 foods for the rest of your life. What are you having? It's all
the same stuff
to play. Like people tried to get on the platform early. They saw an opportunity to potentially be an early bird to a new social media platform, and they wanted to grow the engagement on their account as quickly as possible. But all of it, there's nothing entertaining for me on there. It's too nice. It's too like, I don't know.
It's too nice.
Kind of, yeah. There's no drama on Threads yet. I like a little bit of the drama that I get to see on Twitter. I don't see a lot of people interacting with one another. It's all just like I said, influencer type of social media, which I hate.
Well, it's just your Instagram and Twitter form. It's the same audience.
But like Twitter, a lot of people have their own individual account and voice, and they talk about things. I would never see a random person's thread about what they're doing that day. It's all influencers with the Instagram check mark that are like, here's a photo of me doing like whatever, I'm meditating in the Mayan Empire. Like, where's your favorite dream destination to do your yoga at? Like, it's all stupid. I don't care.
So I'm currently thumbs down on Threads. I was late to the Twitter game, like really late to Twitter, but it's all, it's Threads. We're never gonna know what Threads is until more people get there. Because I've seen people watching the show and commenting like, what's Threads? Like, it took a while for Twitter to develop into the news madhouse that it is now. And so like we just need to be patient with it and wait until we know what we want to do with it. Like, I don't know, like, what do I want to do? What am I going to do on Threads? And I'm not already
doing with it that's different than Twitter. I mean, it's literally Twitter without the discourse.
Yet, because that's going to happen.
Then why would I need it? Like, why do I need it? I have Twitter.
Yeah, but it's about what Elon
I don't like the dark. I'm looking at it right now. I don't like the dark mode that I got going.
I'm a dark mode guy anyway, so
I don't like this at all. But I'm scrolling through it. I just see a lot of like top 10 spots to check out for dinner this week in Nashville.
People trying to get clicks. It's a new place to get clicks. That's what it is.
I don't like people trying to get like social media engagement without putting out like real thing. Like, so that's yeah. You asked me my opinion. I'm thumbs down. It annoys me. I'm bored.
We're just too early. We're just too early on it.
Maybe
it's gotta continue. People have to know what do they want to do with it. Like, am I just gonna tweet thread everything I tweet? Are you gonna duplicate stuff? Are you gonna have different personality on
thought
thread?
about doing it, but that's what people are doing. I mean, that's like just in terms of like the sports media space, Adam Schefter, Tom Pelissero, these account, like every sports team has a Threads account already that they copy paste their tweets and, you know, put them in thread form and put them out there. So there's also no hashtags, which I think is insane. Like, Facebook has hashtags now. How do you not have hashtags?
I don't know. Just trying something new. I don't know. I'm intrigued by what
also
Threads is
this point. I heard this point the other day. This is hilarious. I love how the world was like, we need to make a new Twitter because Elon Musk is evil and we need to be saved. So naturally, we turn to Mark Zuckerberg because like that's going to solve all of our problems.
Well, if somebody knows how to do it, you know.
But like, he's had just as many problems. Like Mark Zuckerberg went to court for like data theft for like a year ago. And now we're like, oh, Zuck, come save us from Elon, the big bad man. Fight him in the Roman Colosseum. Like,
I mean, there's just nobody else to do that. What are the other options?
Yeah, exactly. So, I guess we just got to deal with Twitter, huh?
Yep. Well, all right, guys, that'll wrap it up for our Monday Ask Me Anything. We'll just see what Threads does. But again, all of our industry topics presented by Wilson County Hyundai. Check them out. Make them a part of your new car buying process and see them in Lebanon or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. We will do another trivia show before training camp starts. That's the plan, is to get Sam as trivia master back in here. We had to scrap that
for real this time, right? Like, we're gonna get D-Hop signing news in the middle of the trivia show, and like we're gonna have to scrap it again.
Yep. That happened with the Nicholas Petit Frere suspension a couple Fridays ago. But hey, we'll make it work. We got plenty of time. Coming over the next few weeks. But all right, guys, we will see you on a Tuesday. Buck Rising will be live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime. Make sure you do like the show before you go. Hit that thumbs up button. It doesn't matter what you're watching on. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, maybe Threads will have us stream live there coming soon. Who knows? But make sure that you give us that thumbs up there on the show. That helps us out and helps you out as well as we continue to grow our community, get closer and closer to training camp here in a couple weeks. We'll see you guys tomorrow on a Tuesday. Appreciate it as always.